Next up, we're heading to Miami, where we will be joined by Luis Gallardo, a founder of the World Happiness Foundation. Welcome, Luis. Hi, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing fantastic.
It's good to see you. How is it in Miami? Is it warm and nice?
It is warm, it is raining, but we are happy celebrating International Day of Peace. This is very important.
Luis, could you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you've become the founder of World Happiness Foundation?
Well, thank you for asking, because as we know, projects and especially projects that integrate many different stakeholders take time, and it's a life journey in many cases. I think probably the seed that was planted in me happened in what it was called the former Yugoslavia. It was at a Czechoslovak Republic when I was an international observer on behalf of the United Nations and the OSCE. So there, as an international observer, basically our job was to bring democracy, training and coaching all political parties about counting votings and basically making the elections fair. And it was there when I saw the devastation of conflicts and violence that get to the stream. As you remember, more than 2 million people were displaced or executed in that conflict. And it was one night, it was 4 a.m., I still remember. It was super early in the morning, and the school was closed, but there were already lines and hundreds of people waiting to cast the votes. And I saw one woman, her name was Blikna, and I approached her and I asked her, well, it's very early for you. She said, no, it's not early, Luis. It's not early at all. You know, I've been waiting for this for so long. I have hope, and I have hope to live in peace. And I have hope to live in peace and to be happy one day again. I lost my family. I lost everything I have. I lost my sister. I lost my dogs. I lost all my neighbors. But I haven't lost my hope to live in peace and to be happy one again. And you know, I mean, when you're in that kind of environment and somebody's telling you those three words that stick in my mind, hope, peace, and happiness, that stayed with me. And I say, okay, how can we explore from a strategic point of view the correlation of hope, peace, and happiness, and how people, even with so much devastation and having lost everything but their life, personal life, they still have hope for peace and happiness. And I think that was an important seed for me. After that, I played important roles at the corporate level with major multinationals, and I've been establishing many different projects around the world. I think that vision of seeing what's going on around the world in more than 175 countries, we had different projects. I think that brought me into the conclusion that we need new systems. We need new paradigms for human progress. And that was the main element that helped me to move into the definition of new paradigms, a new paradigm that I call happitalism. So, you know, capitalism is happitalism, is based on happiness as a fundamental tenet. It's like if we have a white canvas and we have to define the models and the system where we want to live, how would they look like? And actually, it's so interesting because when you ask people, why do they do things and what for? It doesn't take more than 3-4 questions to get to happiness. And it's very interesting because, and we can talk about this later, the correlation of happiness and peace. Because when people want happiness overall for them or for their families, then why don't we build a system? Why don't we build a world that is based on that? And we put the focus on that. So this is the genesis of the World Happiness Foundation. And now, after more than 10 years, we've been working with hundreds and hundreds of institutions around the world creating ecosystems where we can benefit from each other, understanding the roots of conflict, but understanding as well the roots of strength, the root of positive action, the root of thriving in the world and flourishing. So this is kind of the genesis of the World Happiness Foundation.
Capitalism, I love it. I think I'm going to actually adopt that term now. But that takes me now, because you told us a little bit about the seed, what created the seed in your mind and in your heart. And that brings me to this day, to the 21st of September, and Peace Day. It's a day of ceasefire and non-violence. And can you tell me about what this day means to you and what opportunities does it create?
Yeah, this day is very important. It's very important, and we have to insist. We have to get to billions and billions of people understanding why celebrating peace and having a day and focusing all our energy on ceasefire, not just ceasefire, but actually building the conditions for positive peace is very important. And I think this Peace Day is critical, in this case for us as well as the World Happiness Foundation, because the same way that we create this new system called capitalism, which basically the fundamental goal for all humanity is happiness and well-being, we know that we can achieve that through fundamental peace. And fundamental peace basically has three main elements. It has the element of freedom, especially freedom from fear. It has the element of consciousness. And you know something very important is that we keep talking and talking and talking about things that are determined by our perception. But our perception is determined by our beliefs, by our roots, by the conditions, by our genetics. Something below our perception and that actually has an impact in our overall consciousness is what is not conscious, is the subconscious. So we really need to go deeper into that. For example, right now the world is living a pandemic of eco-anxiety. Anxiety is everywhere. And this is something that we don't even mention as a pandemic, but it is. The level of anxiety is so high that when we have that level of anxiety, we reduce the opportunities to be creative, the opportunities to think out of the box, the opportunities to be innovative, the opportunities to build in positive. So Peace Day is very important because with freedom and consciousness, we can get into a third element, which is happiness. And happiness is like the active ingredient of this formulation that we are creating. And it's not happiness for oneself, it's happiness to share. The moment we become happiness, we say it's not about being happy, it's about being happiness. The moment we embrace and we incarnate what we want to achieve, that's the beginning of the change. So Peace Day is very important because this is the moment where we celebrate fundamental peace, freedom, consciousness, and happiness in a strategic way, and we celebrate this with everybody.
Touched upon, I think, what is kind of, as you said, it's a pandemic, it's a world pandemic, anxiety and mental health. And that kind of takes me to the mission of the World Happiness Foundation. What is it that you guys want to achieve?
Yes, this is very important because we steward two United Nations resolutions that focus, one of them, International Day of Happiness. So the same day that is the International Day of Peace, there is an International Day of Happiness. And it's March 20th. And that was created only 11 years ago. So we have a lot to learn and a lot to partner with Peace Day. But that's fundamental for our foundation, to actually steward, that people remember that we have one day for celebration. The second resolution is asking and inviting countries, institutions, every single body around the world to actually create new measurement and new progress and programs based on this new paradigm for human development, which is well-being and happiness. When we put well-being and happiness at the core, we change everything around us. And you know why? Because actually happiness and peace they are correlated at least in 5 ways. The first one is positive relationships. Happy individuals tend to have healthier and more positive relationship with others. And that can lead to peaceful interactions, and they can reduce conflicts. Emotional well-being. Happiness is associated with positive emotions such as joy, contentment, and gratitude. When individuals experience these positive emotions, they are less likely to engage in aggressive and violent behaviors. Emotional well-being promotes a peaceful mindset and encourages peaceful resolution of conflicts. Social cohesion is the third one. Happy individuals are more likely to participate in community activities, volunteer work, and social initiatives. This active engagement in society fosters social cohesion and sense of belonging, which are essential for peace coexistence. Conflict resolution is the fourth one. Happy individuals tend to have better problem-solving skills and a more optimistic outlook. They are more likely to approach conflicts with a cooperative mindset, seeking peaceful solutions rather than restoring to aggression or violence. And the fifth one is a ripple effect. Happiness is contagious. When individuals are happy, their positive emotions and behaviors can influence those around them, creating a ripple effect. This can contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious society as happiness spreads from person to person. This is what we are here for at the World Happiness Foundation, and that's why the correlation of peace and happiness is so important.
So let's say it once more, just 20th of March is an important date for everybody to remember. How can people watching us now, how can they support your work, the work of World Happiness Foundation? And can you tell us a little bit about where they can find more information and knowledge and whatever they need to do? If you can just lead us to what is necessary.
Well, of course, the website is worldhappiness.foundation, worldhappiness.foundation. And there you can find many resources. We have 3 main programs, strategic programs. One is focused on cities, creating cities of happiness. So we are working with government officials to start from the city. And there we need help. So you're a mayor, you're a government official, a council member, we need you if you want to create a city of happiness. The second program is schools of happiness. And that's like peace education. We have happiness education. Of course, peace is part of that. So schools of happiness is a whole framework in order to create environments for teachers, for families, for staff and students, the whole community, in order to thrive in the world. And the third project and the third program is enterprises or business of happiness. And here we work and we have created this role and this figure of the chief well-being and happiness officer. So it's somebody who is trained and supports well-being and happiness at the strategic level. So you are invited, and you're invited to a program in Costa Rica as well, Gross Global Happiness, at the United Nations University for Peace. It's been running now for 7 years, 7 editions this year, and you're you're an activist. This is the place to be. Of course, our festivals around the world, World Happiness Festival, in more than 80 locations every March 20th, and linking from your essence, peace and happiness. That's the most important thing. Be happy.
That's amazing. What I'm taking for this, I mean, there's so much to take from this interview, but what I'm taking from this is that happiness is contagious. So let's all just try and be a little bit more happy. Thank you so much for your time and for your inspiring words. And I hope to see you maybe in Costa Rica, maybe in one of those seminars. Thank you for your time.
Yes, please.